And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Well, we are just back from Port-au-Prince. 6 months after the earthquake in Haiti, not much has changed, and yet Haiti will never be the same. Up to 300,000 people were killed in the disaster and its aftermath. More than 1.5 million people are now homeless. Half a year later, many Haitians say they've seen little in terms of recovery efforts. The teeming city of Port-au-Prince looks like a war zone. Rubble and debris is everywhere and has become a part of the landscape. There's little food, clean water, or sanitation. Only 2% of promised reconstruction aid has been delivered. More than 1,350 tent camps fill the streets with makeshift tarps and sheets, providing little shelter. Other tent camps set up by the Haitian government are in remote areas far from the capital and set up on barren landscapes. In Karai, the government's primary relocation camp, some 15 miles from Port-au-Prince, a storm on Monday collapsed at least 94 tents and sent hundreds of residents fleeing to find shelter. Meanwhile, in the capital, in Port-au-Prince, Haitian President René Préval hosted a medal ceremony at the crushed National Palace to defend the government's response to the quake. Bulldozers, dump trucks, other heavy equipment that are usually nowhere to be seen in the capital were lined up on the palace grounds for the occasion. Just across the street, in the massive Chalmers camp, thousands of homeless people sat baking in the summer heat. Among those at the ceremony were former President Bill Clinton, now co-chair of the Interim Commission for Haiti's Reconstruction. CNN's Anderson Cooper and two-time Academy Award-winning actor and director Sean Penn were honored and presented with medals. Sean Penn first came to Haiti after the earthquake struck to help with immediate relief efforts. He decided to stay to finish what he started. He co-founded the Haitian Relief Organization and is managing a tent camp on the Petionville golf course that now shelters some 55,000 people. On Sunday night, we went to visit Sean Penn's camp. We walked in, asked to speak to him. We were ushered into a large tent and ended up sitting down with a Hollywood star for more than an hour, talking about Haiti, recovery efforts, the lack of them, his life, and what inspired him to do what he's doing. Well, Sean Penn, welcome to Democracy Now!
Thank you.
What are you doing here in Haiti?
Well, currently we're functioning as camp management for the Petionville Club camp, or what they call here Terrain Golf. We have 55,000 IDP population in the camp. It's about 100 meters from here. And our job is to be principal coordinator of the other NGO actors in camp, and to advocate for the camp, and we also function as a medical NGO and have a Class 3 hospital on site. And now we're currently beginning a project of, we had done the first primary relocation, but I'm careful to talk about that because there's approximately 1.8 million displaced people, and to date there's been a total of 7,000 people relocated citywide. And by relocations, we're talking about getting people out of spontaneous camps and into planned camps that have better security, better services, and are out of flood zones and that sort of thing. But long term, the idea is to get people either into returns into neighborhoods, making those neighborhoods functional and give them services, and or for those camps on the outside to become, instead of considered planned camps, really to be model communities, and for hopefully business and manufacturing jobs to come into those areas, and we go from tents to temporary shelters, and ultimately into housing, and hopefully into land ownership.
What brought you down here to begin with?
Well, it was a series of events and a certain amount of timing, but the earthquake hit the news, and I had a personal experience with one of my children having a surgery in that year, and seeing just how important pain medications can be during surgery, and hearing of the kind of Civil War style medicine that was happening here, because it was a poverty earthquake, and so you have the devastation on top of devastation, and part of that was an already crippled healthcare system. And so when amputations were taking place of children and elderly and everybody in between, they were doing it with a Motrin. And so I was able to, through a relationship with the President of Venezuela, get a supply of morphine and ketamine. And by the time that arrived at the embassy here, I networked with Dr. Paul Farmer and others to find out what clinics and hospitals would use them most productively and were most in need of them, that were doing those kinds of surgeries. And so we began as a kind of me and a few of the groups started as 24/7 delivery crew and pickup trucks, while the 7 doctors that we brought in were farmed out to existing infrastructures, and bit by bit we got our legs as an NGO. And then soon thereafter took over camp management here at Petionville.
So you come down after the earthquake because you want the people to feel a little less pain, right? But you stayed.
Yeah, Haiti kind of gets a hold of you. And also we felt that there were, I mean, every good NGO is a gap filler of what another NGO is not intending to do or can't do or that. And there's, in a situation like this, there are unnecessary gaps, but there are also inevitable gaps. It's a brand new circumstance. An earthquake on a level as devastating as this, in a zone as impoverished as this, and so there becomes a very clear human obligation. And as we got our legs and felt our ability to do that, you know, and one of the things that now, as we're starting to broaden out, is that we just started a rubble removal aspect to this, because that's the next thing. Is we don't want to create a comfort zone of a camp to the degree that it becomes a dependency zone. At the same time, I think that our philosophy at JPHRO is that the kind of cliched idea of empowering the people is not to demand it prematurely, but that in the case of Haiti in particular, these are the most pre-empowered people on the planet, and that without the tools, there can't be an expectation of the kind of self-empowerment that one might have in Chile after an earthquake. So
many hundreds of times more powerful earthquake, yet hundreds of times fewer people who died. There was it 300 or less. Here it's 300,000.
Yeah, I was in an earthquake the size of the one in Haiti when I was a kid in Los Angeles. I think a total of 20 people died. And here between 250, 300,000 immediate deaths, and God knows how many. And most of the bodies are still under rubble today, 6 months later. And that's part of what our job will be. It's rubble removal, it's body removal, it's and it's reestablishing neighborhoods.
We were here after the earthquake. We saw an amputation put on the table in front of us because there were Denver doctors from Denver Children's Hospital. They had actually brought up anesthesia, so that made it unusual, but it's a nation of amputees. Rubble everywhere. We come back 6 months later, and we see the same thing. And the same camp, for example, in front of the ruined palace with, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000 people in the chamars. So what has changed?
That's a question we ask someone asks, and we ask ourselves every day. Whenever we're talking about anything other than the Haitian people, we know there's a problem. And we're talking about things other than the Haitian people all the time in Haiti. What are the bottlenecks? Why are the bottlenecks? Bottlenecks in rubble removal, bottlenecks in assistance packages, work stoppages at plant campsites, lack of temporary shelters being installed in areas that are having rubble removal. And what we've found is that, and I think, I'd like to think, that the parallel courses of rebuilding Haiti and emergency disaster relief are finally on the verge of potentially finding a marriage 6 months later. Some of that, from my point of view, is understandable. Some of it is criminal, that it's taken this long. And by criminal, I'm talking not about individual corruptions as much as systemic ones. And